So we're in Copenhagen at DTW23. I'm here with Keri Gilder, the CEO of Colt. Keri, thanks very much for joining us in your very busy schedule. Good to see you.
Great to see you as well.
So you were here last year as well, where you gave a presentation about diversity and inclusion and how the telecom industry was almost at the edge of a cliff in terms of its hiring practices and the skills it had. How has that moved forward in the past years? Progress been made?
I would say progress has been made, but not as much as we would like. However, we're on the cusp of having one of the major hyperscalers within their telecoms division signed up to the score. And so I think that hopefully will be another raise point for the score itself. It's interesting to see how different companies are seeing value in the score itself. For Colt, we do it annually now, and we do that annually so that we can, number one, have that benchmark, but then also understand whether the things that we're doing, especially in our people, part of our business, are actually working or not. And so, we like to have that metric to come in and tell us how we're doing. Others, what we're hearing is that they're using as a benchmark against industry, which was the original intent for the score. So I think it's still evolving. I think that we're in a precarious time right now as an industry, and what I hope is that we don't lose line of sight to how we can grow, because I still believe that inclusion and diversity is a key element to making that happen.
I get the sense that it is very much higher up on the agenda because there's more talk, just in general talk. People are not sort of saying, I'm going to talk about that. It seems to be more in the flow of what they're doing and how they need to transform their businesses. So it does seem to be having an impact.
Good.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
News.
Now, of course, the other things that are very much in discussion is around the ESG topics, and that is now really risen up and become part of strategies and making sure that things are really happening. And you've been talking about that today as well. Can you just cover off what you think is important, particularly the stuff that people don't talk about quite so much, because everybody's focused on energy efficiency, perhaps more than the other parts of ESG?
And the biggest part of ESG is actually the supply chain, and it's getting your supply chain to sign up to science-based targets and to make sure that those aren't so, far out in space that they're not going to deliver anything in the next 5 to 7 years, because we're at the precipice of a kind of time crunch around needing to do something now. And so that's the key, is making sure that you're not only holding yourself responsible, but you're holding your entire supply chain responsible. If we can do that, then I think we have the opportunity to have a significant impact in actually reducing energy, reducing costs, enabling a different kind of mindset and methodology to how we engineer networks, how we develop products, and how we work with one another in order to make it successful. But we have to get pragmatic about sustainability in general. And I think that's been the problem, is that it's such a big issue to drill it down into habitual things that happen on a daily basis, like engineering processes, that doesn't immediately come to mind. What immediately comes to mind is, okay, we're going to put green energy at every single one of our sites. So, I think that's where we have to move to, is, I'll just call it, thinking pragmatically about the planet.
Well, it's good to see that some companies are taking the lead and setting the example. And you were talking about that with Alison Kirby from Telia as well, about actually taking action and not just talking about it. So that's really good to hear. Now, of course, we're at DTW, so there's a lot here as well about technology trends and the impact of digital transformations. How is the shift towards greater software-defined operations and automated processes impacting a company like Colt?
Well, I think it's impacting every company right now. We all have cost pressure on us, and automation absolutely can help us. to alleviate some of that as we go forward. But again, you can't just look at the technology, you have to look at process reengineering on top of it as well. And that's one thing that we're doing. We are looking, as we move into the next era of Colt as a significantly bigger company, what does our IT stack look like? We are proponents of ODA and what TM Forum is doing here, and we believe OpenStack is absolutely the right way to go. At the same time, we have to map that process, end-to-end process across the business to make sure we're not automating something that didn't work in the first place. So, it's kind of an ebb and flow between process reengineering, automation, and the digitization of Colt. And we have a long plan. We call it Colt IO, and we believe that over the next 2 years we're going to be well on our way to almost cloudification of our entire OSS and BSS.
So obviously Colt is a little bit different to a lot of the companies here. A lot of the network operators, have mobile network assets and are talking about that, but Colt's a little bit different. So can you just tell us about how your particular market is evolving and how the business is evolving at Colt?
Well, I think what we're seeing with a lot of the companies that are here today and the incumbent operators is they're picking a flag, is what I would call it. They're moving out of their global business and they're moving into their country business. And we're seeing that significantly with operators, not just in Europe, but around the world. We believe that it makes Colt, a great aggregator for the global business because that still exists. It still has to happen. Incumbent operators are still going to require to sell a global solution, but the operating dynamics, the business case doesn't prove in that well anymore when they, in their core business, have so much to focus on. So how our business is evolving is we are expanding, and we are, our desire is to basically be the global aggregator of connectivity services around the world. And that's not only to help the enterprise, but it's also to help other operators around the world have that capability without having the operational complexity and the, cost associated with developing, that infrastructure.
Okay, so the strategies of many of the what you might call regular telcos is actually giving you an opportunity to play a bigger role, I guess, in the sector.
It's exactly it. Our purpose at Colt is to put the digital universe in the hands of our customers wherever, however, and whenever, they want it. And that means consumable, that means software defined, but it also means that we have geographic presence all over the world. We can't do that on our own. The capital to do that is enormous. So it requires a lot of investment from us, and from our shareholder, but it also requires a big partnership between a lot of the other operators around the world, and that's what we're looking to do.
Okay. And part of your expansion plan involves M&A activity.
Yes.
And you're in the process currently of acquiring the EMEA assets from Lumen. Can you just give us an update on how that's progressing? Is there a timeline for when that deal might close?
Yes. So we announced that about this time last year. It was November of last year, and it seems like it's been a long time since then, but we have been slowly working through the regulatory approvals, and we still believe we're on track to close that acquisition in Q4 of this year. So I can't give you many more details outside of that, but we're on track, and as long as the FCC stays in session and the government doesn't shut down in the US, I think we're in a pretty good position.
Well, fingers crossed for that. All right, Keri, well, listen, great. Thanks for taking time out of your schedule and talking to us today, and look forward to chatting with you again in the future. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much.